Okay, so the first tent we're going to set up is the Coleman Flatwoods 2. This is a 4-person tent. I actually just returned this tent previously this week. I bought one and had quality control issues. I like this tent, but I want to set it up again and see if the issues were related to just that one tent or if this is a common issue. So we'll go ahead and set this one up and then we'll go through it. Okay, so it's packed in a box here with some paper instructions. But this box, you don't keep this once you set it up, it'll fit back into the bag. So put that aside. So it's a really easy tent to set up. So this is a 4-person tent. Let's take a look at the screen here before we even set it up and make sure that we've got no issues like I had with the last one. The last one had a big hole in the screen at the top here, so this one actually looks pretty good, but we'll see once we get it set up. So this one has 2 diagonal poles that cross the tent, and then there's a separate pole for the fly. Okay, so it looks like we've already got a quality issue with this tent. One of the poles, one of the longer cross poles, is actually splintered at the end of it. So we'll look at that. Okay, so with this tent, you've got 2 sleeves that go across the tent here. So the best thing to do with this is, one thing with Coleman tents is they have this nylon sleeve here, and you need to feed all the poles through the tent. You need to make sure first that the pole is fully assembled before you feed it through. So with Coleman tents, one thing I've learned over the years is that you have to install all these poles before you raise the tent. If you try and raise the tent right now and then feed the other pole through, you will rip the sleeve. So what we do is just even it out, drop it down, and then we start feeding the other pole through. And you always want to come in directly from the Caleb, you gotta move over here, buddy. You gotta make sure the pole is fully attached here, or else it's gonna come apart in the tent. So we feed this through carefully. So here you got to be very careful to feed it through. without catching the nylon. Once we're about halfway through now, we can start putting the holes in.
Hang on. This is the...
So you insert the peg here, operate the tent, and you always, another tip with Coleman tents is you always want to upright the upper pole first. Okay? So now we can go, somebody supports this one. So that's the basic structure of the tent. So now they've got these clips. Now this is basically the difference between an instant tent and a normal setup tent, is that with this one you've got the sleeves on the top and then clips here. With the more instant setup tents, it uses all clips, and one of the other tents we're gonna set up is a more instant setup. So this tent, we're going to put the rain fly on next. So the rain fly, the way you tell the front of the fly is it's got a sleeve on it, and on this tent it's actually red. So you basically just lay it over like that. We get Caleb to bring in the other pole here. And just underneath the edge of the lip here, you just feed this through, and then on your actual tent, you've got these grommets, and you just feed the piece into there on each side. Okay? And the one thing I learned about this tent is you must clip the rear fly down before you, or else it won't hold the roof piece up here. Okay, so there's basically that's the Flatwoods 2 4-person tent. On the door you've got a window. In the door, you've got a window beside the door, but there's no other windows in the tent. So if you want good ventilation, you should peg out the rain fly. So there's the Coleman Flatwoods 4 tent. This tent looks like it, other than the slight splinter on the one pole, which doesn't seem to be a problem. It looks like everything's okay with this tent, so yeah. Okay, so we're inside the Coleman Flatwoods 2 4-person tent. We'll just go through some of the features inside here. So we've got 2 mesh gear container holders for wallet, keys, glasses, stuff like that. Check these when you get your tent. Make sure that there's no holes. We've had a few issues with that. Mesh top. The whole thing is mesh. WeatherTech floor, so you don't have to use a tarp underneath. And then You've got 2 screen windows here that these both close. You can change for ventilation. It's a pretty basic tent on the inside. Yeah, so that's basically the Flatwoods 2 4-person tent. So we're going to start with the Flatwoods 2 4-person tent. What do you guys like about this tent?
It's easy to set up.
So it's easy to set up. Caleb says it's easy to set up.
I like the mesh top because it provides a little bit of breathability.
Okay, so the mesh top. For me, I like the fact that it has a small footprint. So if you're going to a camping spot that has smaller sites, this would work. It's a good size for 2 people with some gear. A couple other things I like about it. It packs up small. It's lighter weight than the other tents. It does have the WeatherTech floor, which I also like.
The fly is nice with the overhang, so that you can still have the window open if there's a little bit of light rain, and it won't affect the water coming in the tent.
And I also like the fact that it has this Coleman E-port on the side, which is a pass-through for, you can put a power cord in if you're at a site that has power without having to have the door open. So that's what we like about this tent. The things that we don't like about this tent, Caleb, what don't you like about this tent?
It's not good for 3 people.
It's probably not big enough for 3 people with gear. That is, it would be 3 people if you didn't have any gear in there. So that's one drawback. The other drawback that's not really a problem for Caleb is standing up in this tent. It's only 4 foot, I believe 4'7" or 8" in the middle. So that is it's one drawback for this tent. If you want to stand up inside the tent, get dressed, whatever, you can't do that. Other than that, I mean, it's a pretty solid tent. This tent ranges from anywhere from 40 to 60 bucks online. So for the value, it's a pretty good tent. So that's the Coleman Flatwoods 2 4-person tent.